Well, good evening and welcome everyone. I'm Ismaila Alfa. I'm the host of CBC Radio's Metro Morning. I'm also your host for this year's Spring for Peace 2021. And I'm honored to be your host and involved in this event and supporting it in any way that I can. I've seen the amazing things that youth can do. I've also seen how some young people can slip through the cracks, and with enough of the right support, that can be prevented. Peacebuilders uses restorative programs in the youth court to offer meaningful alternatives for the young, and in Toronto high schools to help students and teachers manage conflict, activate a safer school environment for learning, and supporting children and families as they navigate the child welfare system. Many of the youth in this current world are already the leaders of today, but many others are being left behind because of circumstances that are actually out of their control. Circumstances like poverty, mental health, lack of supports. Now, as many of you know, Peacebuilders does incredible work to support our youth to ensure that they all have the opportunities that they need to reach an even brighter future. Remember, your support tonight will help Peacebuilders raise critical funds that go towards advocacy projects, current operational needs, and lessening the impact of COVID-19 on youth and their families. Your support on a night like this is more important now than ever. Now, we have a wonderful program lined up for you this evening, including exclusive musical performances from Joanna Majoko and her incredible band. Also coming up later, spoken word artist Fareh Malik will be performing an inspiring poetry reading. Scott Wortley, professor of criminology at the University of Toronto, recently conducted an evaluation of the Peacebuilders Restorative Justice Youth Program. That study revealed an amazingly positive impact that the program has had on youth participants. Let's take a look at the findings of this study and its direct impact on our youth.
In 2021, a comprehensive evaluation of Peacebuilders' Restorative Justice Youth Program was conducted by U of T's criminology professor Scott Wortley. From late 2017 and over a 2.5-year period, it surveyed over 85 youth participants at intake and more than 50 youth upon its completion. The study revealed many interesting facts about arrests made, charges laid, and the impact of the Peacebuilders Restorative Justice Youth Program on the youth involved. Kids in the program range from 13 to 18 years old. They were 85% male. 45% were from single-family homes. And while 96% had some disciplinary issues at school, only 1 out of 3 had ever been charged with a crime before, meaning 2/3 were first-time offenders. Upon their arrest, 9 out of every 10 kids were handcuffed by police when taken into custody. 1/3 of those arrested turned themselves in, while 2/3 of the kids were taken into custody by police. 36% of those arrested were charged with assault. 8% were charged with theft or fraud. 7% were arrested for uttering a threat. 2% had charges laid for drug trafficking. Yet 87% took responsibility for their actions. While 35% had been involved in another program and were then referred to Peacebuilders' Restorative Justice Program, 75% of the youth participants described Peacebuilders Circle Keepers as excellent. 80% believed that their participation in the program would help them deal with police more effectively in the future. 87% said they would recommend the program to their peers. And while only 64% hoped the Peacebuilders program would improve their lives when they started the process, by the time they finished the program, this number jumped up to 89%. 90% said it would be easier to avoid conflicts in the future as a result of Peacebuilders. 92% stated they were happy or very happy they participated in the program. And every single participant, 100%, said the Peacebuilders Restorative Justice Program met or exceeded their expectations. Peacebuilders Restorative Justice works because it builds trust, listens and learns the life circumstances of youth, and develops a deep understanding of what causes conflicts with the law. Victims, co-accused, and families are often part of the process. Youth work hard to understand and help repair the harm they caused. Peacebuilders staff works with young people to develop and support educational and career goals, helping them stay out of conflict with police. As a result, the entire Peacebuilders restorative justice process replaces fear, insecurity, and anger with hope, security, and even love. To learn more, visit peacebuilders.ca. Donate, volunteer, get involved.
Thank you, Ismaila. It's such a pleasure to have you on board for this year's Spring for Peace. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marlon Marrero, and I'm the Executive Director at Peacebuilders Canada. I would like to take a moment tonight and acknowledge that Canada has been home to many Indigenous peoples for thousands of years. We'd like to honor that important history of this land on which we work, live, and play. We'd also like to acknowledge those who came here involuntarily as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. We pay tribute to the ancestors of African descent in solidarity with Indigenous peoples. As you have seen earlier in our infographics, 100% of those who participate in Peacebuilder Restorative Justice Program believed it met or exceeded their expectations. Building trust, listening, learning, and understanding are at the heart of what we do, while we advocate for systems change for better outcomes for young people. And because of your support and donations tonight, we're able to continue to offer these services for our youth in the community. I would like to thank our presenting sponsors, Mattamy Homes, our platinum sponsors, Pallier Roland, and all our event sponsors. Hosting an event of this nature is not possible without your incredible generosity. In a moment, you will hear from the Honorable Todd Smith, Minister of Children and Community and Social Services, and a great message from our old friend, James B. But first, it's time for some entertainment. Tonight we have for you today an incredible rising star, Joanna Majoko, with her live band performing 2 brand new original songs from her debut EP, No Holding Back. Here she is singing Where You Are.
You think where you are is the chain that keeps you from the dream you seek. Can blame it on anyone. It's me, myself, and I don't know why, but I'll find the way to there. For so long you've been under the illusion that everything you wanted would fall into perfect place. It's now or never. And my dear, please take responsibility. Response.
Hello there, I'm James B., and I would love to say thank you, Peacebuilders, for all you do for young people. Restorative justice, what a concept. You know, if you can donate, if you are blessed and you can financially contribute to this, your money goes directly to them. You are directly helping young people and keeping them, a lot of them at least, out of prison, which is such an important thing. I love this organization, and I know some of you don't have money, so if you don't, that's cool. We have weird times, but please read up about it. Check out peacebuilders.ca and spread the word. And by the way, I heard something about wine. Oh, thank you. And so here, a toast to everyone at Peacebuilders and to you. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Todd Smith, Minister of Children, Community and Social Services. It's an honor to be a part of this year's annual Spring for Peace virtual gala. First, I'd like to congratulate Peacebuilders Canada on another year of helping so many young people reintegrate back into their communities and start a new chapter in their lives. Poverty, racism, and family conflict can be part of the reality for many youth in our communities, putting youth at risk of conflict with the law, placing them at a disadvantage in life. As the Minister responsible for children and youth, I'm committed to providing Ontario's young people with the supports and services they need to be empowered and build on their strengths and capabilities to achieve their full potential. Ontario's youth violent crime rate has declined significantly since introducing the Youth Criminal Justice Act in 2003, nearly 81%, by focusing on prevention, diversion, and community-based programs to make a difference in the lives of young offenders. While these statistics are encouraging, we know there's still much work yet to be done. Indigenous and Black youth continue to be disproportionately overrepresented in Ontario's youth justice system. In order to create fundamental change in the youth justice sector, we must confront and address broader systemic issues of racism, discrimination, and inequity. And our government's working toward doing just that. This includes transforming Ontario's child welfare system so all children can receive high-quality services and supports no matter where they live in the province. Working with community leaders, including Ontario's Advocate for Community Opportunities, Jamil Javani, and the Premier's Council on Equality of Opportunity to support youth in achieving their economic and career goals. Doubling our investment in Ontario's Black Youth Action Plan to increase opportunities for Black children, youth, and families. We're also committed to working with local organizations to prevent youth from being victims of gang violence and human trafficking, and making significant investments to build strong, equal partnerships with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis partners. In alignment with your mission of diverting youth out of the courts before trial, we know that a run-in with the law shouldn't be a life sentence. With the right supports and intervention, there is opportunity for a second chance and a bright future for those who may have made a mistake early on. Change doesn't happen overnight, but by working together, we can make a positive difference in the lives of so many young people. I want to once again thank you for your hard work and passion in helping youth in our communities make positive change in their lives. And thank you for the positive impact you're making in our communities.
Thank you to Minister Todd Smith for your comments and sharing in our commitment to empowering young people in our communities. And how about that Joanna Majoko? That was quite the performance. Thank you. There'll be more from Joanna and her incredible band a little later in the show, so stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Assad and I'm the Operations and Engagement Coordinator here at Peacebuilders Canada. And I'm pleased to be introducing the next segment to you all today. Like many organizations, Peacebuilders has had to adapt the way that we work, particularly in the way that we support our youth in light of the ongoing pandemic. The first step is really to understand the challenges that our young people are faced with, including what it's like for them out in the real world. So with that in mind, I'd like you to please welcome three of our amazing youth community leaders, Davisha, Bashira, and Janet, here to share their perspectives.
When I was 3 years old, our house was raided. When I was 8 years old, our house was raided again by the police. And in both situations, my family and I, we had to move. And so that took a big dent on us and like our financial situation as well, and on our friendships and relationships we built, because our neighborhoods would kind of shun us because, you know, in the middle of the night, there's sirens and lights and our doors being kicked in.
My family, we grew up in Regent Park, so I don't want to say it was bound to happen, but a lot of people looked down on us already, or the police looked down on us already.
As a child with a father in prison, I had to go through a lot of stuff with Children's Aid Society.
I ran into a lot of altercations with the police, mainly me sticking up for myself, getting into confrontations with other people.
Most of my life, I hid that my father was in prison, but I'd be getting called out of class once a week.
People would say a lot of negative comments about my skin, and I've been hearing that since I was like a young girl.
I felt like they were trying to blame me for something. I felt very defensive. They were trying to get me to say things about my parents that I didn't believe.
I do stress a lot because the way this world has turned out now, personally, I don't think I would even want to bring in a child into this world, how cruel it is. And if my child is going to have to face the same things I face, I already have two brothers like already facing the same thing. You know what I mean? I have to worry about them every day. Like, will they be coming home in one piece?
I have 3 brothers, and with everything that was happening in 2020, like, all I could think about was, what if this was one of my brothers? And it's very scary because I know that they are really great men with good heads on their shoulders, but we see all of these really great men with good heads on their shoulders be killed and brutalized by police. I was in high school at the same time as my brothers, and we had very different experiences. And my little brother would make comments like, why would I want to be in a place where they make me feel like a troublemaker before I even walk through the door? And so he faced teachers who would say, basketball is your only option, or this is not going to work out for you, him trying to presume math.
There were teachers that will literally look at you and say that you will never make it.
Especially at a young age, experiencing that will like change your character and stuff like that, make you think different, make you just put out hate instead of love. My experience with Peacebuilders has helped me in so many ways.
I've had a lot of mentorship from the older staff at Peacebuilders who understand some of the things I've been through, and no other adult has ever understood that, like, besides my mom. And so it's really nice to have people around that look like me that I can talk to.
They helped me gain a lot of skills that I'm using now.
My perspective has really broadened, and, you know, what I want to do with my life, like what career I want to step into, has drastically changed.
They make me feel less alone. It's going to make me a better person in the future too.
In my opinion, restorative justice is better because it's looking to support people and help them to better themselves. And that's one thing that I really like about being at Peacebuilders, is that I can come here and I can talk about things that I see in the Black community and not feel judged. Honestly, it's something that our community lacks. We're not looking to accept some of the blame for why our children or our communities are broken. We're really willing to point the finger and say, oh, it's the white people or it's the police, when yes, that is true, but there's also a lot of work that we need to do in ourselves, in our families, and in our communities.
Parents stress too. So the stress that they feel, sometimes they put that on to their children. Mm-hmm. But that's the stress that they're getting from society. You feel what I'm saying? It's like a generational curse.
I think social media has made it more difficult.
People are actually worshiping social media.
Yeah, social media is a trap.
It's a trap.
Even if I don't have children, I want my friends' children to feel safe.
I think a lot of youth on youth programs might work a lot better.
It makes me feel so much more revved up to use my voice.
It gives us a little, a pat on ourselves kind of. And people could see that we could be responsible, we could be professional.
Being at Peacebuilders has given me an understanding of how I can actually help.
I think positive, because what you put out into the universe, that's what you get. So think positive, you get positive.
Wow, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories and experiences with us. We are thrilled that you have found some peace within Peacebuilders. And yes, you have got that right when you said, think positive and you will get positive. You can most definitely manifest your dreams. Hi, everyone. My name is Quinn, and I'm one of the co-chairs of this year's Spring for Peace. Thank you so much for joining us this year for our second virtual fundraising gala. Peacebuilders has always held a special place in my heart. We have an amazing auction lined up for you guys this evening, so let's get to some more auction items. First up, Toronto artist Jocelyn Tang has donated an original piece titled What Could Be More Normal, valued at $390. It's pastel on paper. Next, indulge at home with the best from the county. Scandy Skin's Nordic spa experience includes everything you need to create a spa at home, from face masks, hand cream, a soy candle, exfoliating bath mitt. It's really got it all, valued at $230. And finally, from downtown Queen West, Bar Cata has donated a prepared meal kit for two, valued at $160, that includes a meal top to bottom, including a charcuterie board, starters, mains, desserts, cocktails, wine, and more. And now for some spoken word by one of our very own. Born and raised in Toronto, Fareh Malik is an inventive spoken word artist and emerging written poet. A finalist in the So to Speak 2021 poetry contest, his work focuses heavily on the intersection between social racialization and mental health, and cites his life as an example. He loves to tell his story of struggle and of people around him in the hope that others can find inspiration and companionship in it. And now, Fareh Malik.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fareh Malik. I'm a poet and spoken word artist from Ontario. I'm super honored to be a part of this initiative and for Peacebuilders to reach out to me. I'm very honored. I'm so happy that I'm able to read for you all. The poem I'm going to be reading today is called Sorry, Wrong Guy. It's about my very true experience with being held at gunpoint wrongly by the police. So without further ado, here we go. The first time I ever had a gun pointed at me, I was on a westbound locomotive. At the intersection of fear and confusion, I found a crescendo. It blasted this soul into astral projection through train car windows. It saw my body at the barrel of 3 police pistols. So, if you didn't know, terror is an anesthesiologist. It sucks the life out of your limbs as cocked handguns bark, get your hands up. Fright is a pair of earplugs that tune out police commands and replace them with your mother's last words to you. Horror is a cold day. It's practically freezing. It winds up a frigid right hook and aims for your mouth, so when you stutter out that you're innocent, it barely makes it out of your icy jaws. You see, if you're unlucky, fear will veil its face with non-compliance and invite bullets to the masquerade. This kind of situation carries with it a grime, a bullet hole infecting, skin-seeping mud that hitchhikes up your nerves and asks your brain what you did wrong. Why are you so filthy? And it is hardly scrubbed clean by the bitter relief of when they say, sorry, wrong guy. If you'd like to keep up with everything I have going on or read some more of my work, please feel free to follow me. Instagram, it's at Fareh Malik Poetry. And hope you guys all have a great evening.
Hi, I'm Isaac Orolafe from Dream Legacy Foundation, and I support and partner with Peacebuilders Canada. I'm excited of the work Peacebuilders is doing in education, justice, and child welfare system.
Hi, I'm Roxanne Challenger from NIFTY, the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship in Canada. We support and partnered with Peacebuilder Canada. Please join me and Peacebuilder Canada in addressing the inequities and the systemic barriers that youth and families experience.
Thank you, Roxanne and Isaac and Farah. What a beautiful performance. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline, and I'm also a co-chair of our event this evening. As Assad mentioned earlier, it's important for us to understand the real challenges that our youth face. And in addition to this, there needs to be a better understanding of the significant brain growth and development happening throughout adolescence, as evidenced by emerging science. Tailoring our approach to youth during these critical years, focusing on restorative justice and providing positive opportunities will lead to much brighter futures. Please welcome Evan Marshevsky, founder of Peacebuilders Canada, to tell us more.
We face some pretty significant global challenges. We face climate change, we face hunger and poverty, They're dramatic problems that we have to grapple with. But the justice system has a very significant problem, and that is it has not kept up with scientific developments. For example, its failure to recognize adolescence as a stage in human development as significant.
Recent advances in neuroscience have actually shed a great deal of light on the neurobiological developmental process that underpins adolescence. Whereas we historically thought of the most predominant time of brain development being in infancy, there's this second surge of what we call synaptogenesis, which is the formation of connections within the brain. That tends to happen first in the more emotional centers of the brain. And that same type of brain remodeling and refining happens later on in adolescence in the prefrontal cortex, which is like the CEO of the brain. And so if you think about adolescence as starting with this predominance of an emotional reaction, you see what we actually see play out in real time, which is adolescents tend to be more responsive to emotional cues. So, just giving adolescents information isn't necessarily particularly valuable because they don't actually have a brain that is developed to optimally use that information and apply it to their situation.
A lot of these big markers of adulthood, living independently, home ownership, marriage, starting a family, these are all occurring way later.
Recently, sort of in the global health discourse, there's been a push to extend the definition of adolescence at the World Health Organization to include those up to age 24.
From all sides, there's tons of evidence to show that this transition to adulthood, this youth period, adolescence period, it's longer than legal adulthood actually recognizes.
We are not doing anything to clearly define this demographic, to put special procedures or special formal mechanisms into the law that reflects the lack of maturity that is just demonstrated by science and very relevant to behavior.
There needs to be a coming together of numerous disciplines, science, law, social work, to find the best way to solve the problem.
Rather than having these very rigid demographic age bands that don't account for this emerging scientific understanding of adolescent brain development, we really do need to think more developmentally.
There's not a sharp drop-off that occurs at 18. Instead, it kind of slowly trickles down. A lot of young people stop engaging in that kind of behavior closer to their mid-20s.
We have to approach each adolescent and the circumstances of, that we're appraising in a much more tailored way.
Roughly 40 to 45% of young people who are exiting from the care system will come into conflict with the law.
If you grew up with childhood poverty, if you grew up experiencing significant childhood trauma, we know that is going to impact your important skills that help you stay out of the criminal justice system.
When we think about the disproportionality of Black and Indigenous people in the court system, there are some facts that we know. Institutional racism, systemic racism play a large role in why they are where they are.
This population disproportionately experiences mental illness. They disproportionately experience a reliance on substances. 43% will experience homelessness. It's just like the perfect storm.
We are failing as a society to see these as intervention points.
There are really three things that we need to do. We need to, first of all, eliminate this arbitrary distinction of age 18, which is supposed to be the beginning of adulthood, and instead apply ages 10 to 25 as being the appropriate time within which adolescence takes place. Secondly, we need to apply restorative justice principles that are consistent with a developmental approach. And thirdly, we need to enable judges to have the powers to apply their discretion to the individual facts and circumstances of each case.
I think that it would be really wonderful if judges were given more discretion.
A judge who is going to give, sees a young person in front of them who made a poor choice and thinks they're going to give them another chance. That's substantiated by scientific fact. We know that adolescents' brains are being constantly remodeled, and that if we consistently provide those adolescents with opportunities for positive social interaction that lead to positive decisions, that we can alter the trajectory of that adolescent.
And their problems are not intractable. They are fixable. They are still so malleable.
The principle that really centers the adolescent is one of taking a strengths-based, developmentally tailored approach.
With an understanding of trauma, with an understanding of systemic racism, oppression, my perspective is that those persons working with youth in the systems would in fact have a whole new capacity to hear the voice of youth.
If you're in a space where you're looking at dealing with the various issues that someone brings to you, and not just one incident in a time period, then the challenge for us as providers of that service becomes resourcing and building a relationship and working with those individuals.
Restorative justice is very well aligned with best practices. It really centers the adolescent and their unique set of circumstances and works to build on their strengths and to reinforce their opportunities.
When you really decide to look at what causes these problems and the people who we're called upon to help, you can't help but become more restorative in nature. Because when you see our common humanity, you recognize yourself in the person you're trying to help.
One thing that really gets exciting on a fundamental level about this project that Peacebuilders is talking about is the idea of designing a whole system. And what it really means is providing infrastructure support, education, counseling. It means working on ourselves as individuals and ourselves as a society to want to embrace a model that is much healthier for everyone.
Hey, what's going on? It's the Odd Man, and the Audacious Livings podcast supports its staff and volunteers at Peacebuilders Canada. They are doing a fantastic job using restorative justice to support youth and families in our communities. There's no reason why we can't be out there to support the amazing work of a fantastic organization. Peacebuilders, peace.
Easy as a summer breeze, soft, sweet and delicate, qualities I once deemed unseen. You came along and proved me wrong. Your qualities, simplicities, abilities, floating upstream to your destiny. Pursuit of the easy life, gospel of paradise.
Wow, Joanna, that was epic. Thank you so much. And thank you, Audley, for your continued support and words of encouragement. Hello, everyone. My name is Davisha, and I'm a youth lead at Peacebuilders Canada. What happens when the justice system does what it's meant to do? Not just lock up and punish, but realize when there's an opportunity to help an individual. Everyone makes mistakes, especially when they're young, but sometimes the justice system answers its highest calling when we least expect it. In this next segment, Ashby Pate shares his personal story, which demonstrates just how powerful the process can be.
In January of 1918, there was this young, promising blues musician named Huddy Ledbetter. And one night, after playing a sold-out show in a seedy bar somewhere in Texas, Huddy Ledbetter made a terrible mistake. He got into a fight with a man from his audience over a woman, and he stabbed that man to death. And for his crime, he was sentenced to 35 years in Sugar Land Prison, Texas, one of the most notoriously dismal prisons in our country's history. And a few months later, Huddy found himself all alone in his prison cell in the dark in the middle of the night, utterly disconnected from the world that he knew and loved. And he stood up from his bunk and he peered out of the small prison window. And when he did, he caught sight of a train. It's the Southern Pacific Golden Gate Limited, to be precise, and it always left the Houston station right around midnight. And then this amazing thing happened. As the light from the train started to illuminate the prison walls, Huddy heard his fellow prisoners start singing, "Let the midnight special shine a light on me." His fellow prisoners superstitiously believed that if the light from this train shone on their prison cells, they would take it as a sign or a symbol of hope that they might soon be released, that they might soon be reconnected to the world that they had been disconnected from for so long. So Huddy was so moved by his fellow prisoners' song, the next morning he puts pen to paper, and here's the best part of the story. After serving the minimum 7 years of his 35-year prison sentence, Huddy sent a crude recording of that song to the hardliner Texas Governor Pat Neff, who had actually run for office on a campaign promise not to issue pardons. And amazingly, he broke his promise and he set this young man free. And upon his release, this promising young musician soon dropped the name Huddy, and he assumed the blues name Lead Belly, becoming the man who is widely considered to be one of the most important and best American blues artists of all time. When Bart Dalton emailed me about 6 months ago and asked me to come give this talk, he asked me to talk about my story. And I have a rather standard 1,000-word response that tracks my legal career and the fortuitous but unlikely events that led up to my appointment. But I'm not going to tell you that side of the story today. I'm going to tell you the other side, which is something I've never told anyone in a setting like this. So apologies in advance if I get a little emotional. The story of how a 34-year-old kid turns into a Supreme Court justice starts, as best I can tell, on a cold winter's night in Birmingham, Alabama, about 15 years ago, long before I decided to go to law school. And like Huddy Ledbetter, I was a promising young musician. And I was playing a show at some seedy bar, and just like Huddy, I too made a terrible mistake. It was a time in my life when my youthful experimentation with drugs was right at the cusp of becoming a serious problem. And I was sitting outside in a parked car with some friends, and I was doing the type of drugs that I thought cool rock stars did. And suddenly I was pulled out of that car by a plainclothes undercover agent. He found the drugs he was looking for and put me in the back of his cruiser and took me to the Birmingham City Jail, strip searched me, and threw me into a dark cell in the middle of the night. And a few days later, I stood before a judge, and his name was Judge Pete Johnson. I will never forget him. And I was so ashamed. I thought everything that I'd worked for, I'd squandered. Everything that my parents had given me, I'd flushed down the drain. Because I knew that that judge and the law itself had the power right then and there to disconnect me from my family, my goals, and society. Because you see, in Alabama, like many states, if you are convicted even of a non-violent drug possession felony, you are instantly and permanently disconnected and disenfranchised. Instead, Judge Johnson looked down at me, as he did for many others, and he said, "You need help, and I'm going to give you some." He ordered me to report to a program every day for a year, ordered me to drug testing, told me that I would have to do community service until my knuckles bled, but that if I did all those things, he would allow me to have a second chance to become a person of value and consequence in the world. And I remember I stood there right at that moment in awe of the law's power to reconnect me back to the person I thought I was destined to be. And I said, thank you, Your Honor. And he looked at me and he said, "To whom much is given, son, much is required." And I don't tell you this story to appear somehow virtuous, to impress you with how far I've come since that night. I tell you because there is power when we commit to apply the law and our lives and the stories we tell to create meaningful human connection in this world. When we realize that the law's highest calling is not to disconnect, but to reconcile, not to lock people up, but to set them free. And because I'm standing on this stage living proof that you never know whose life or whose lives will be changed.
Hello, this is James Lockyer, and I want you to know that I support Peacebuilders Canada. I support them for this. We know from evidence and experience that helping young people with the proper compassion is always going to reduce the chances that they'll become involved in the criminal justice system and will enable them to join and be part of the next generation of community leaders. And that's why Peacebuilders Canada needs your support. Please visit peacebuilders.ca and donate as soon as you can and as much as you can. Thanks.
Thank you, James. We really appreciate your support and insightful words. I hope all of you enjoyed Ashby Pate's powerful story, which really highlights how important it is for our justice system to have programs like Peacebuilders to give youth a chance to learn from mistakes and fulfill their potential. Hello, everyone. I am Fiona, and I am also a co-chair of this year's Spring for Peace Committee alongside Quinn and Jacqueline. As we near the end of the show, I wanted to remind you all of the amazing auction items that are available. Some of my personal favorites include the virtual interior design consult with the amazing Toronto-based designer, Justine Alexandra Design, the Thermacota Halda coat, a reversible, versatile coat made by female-founded family business, Thermacota. Their pieces are made in Canada and have been featured in Vogue. And last but not least, the Toronto Bee Rescue Quarter Hive Share. Support local business and save the bees. At the end of the season, you get jars of honey from spring, summer, and fall to last you the year, and likely enough for gifting as well. Your support tonight is important now more than ever. Please give generously. Next up, I'd like to welcome back Eva and Lorna for some closing remarks. And please stay tuned after Ismaila for a special video from us all at Peacebuilders.
Thank you so much for participating in our Spring for Peace fundraising webcast tonight.
We know that you support us because you believe our work is important.
Peacebuilders has diverted over 1,200 young people out of the courts, easily saving taxpayers over $50 million.
And our school programs have reduced school student suspension rates by 66%.
So thank you so much for continuing in our Peacebuilders journey with us.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much. This has been a truly amazing and positive evening. Congratulations, Eva, Marlon, and the entire team at Peacebuilders Canada for all that you've achieved tonight. And keep up the great work. A special thank you to all of our guests who participated in tonight's virtual event, and thanks to each of you for tuning in. I sincerely hope you all have enjoyed this year's Spring for Peace 2021, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you again next year in person for Spring for Peace 2022. Until then, stay safe, be well, and have a great night.
Spring is here.
And with it comes new hope.
Good health and safety.
And hopefully a return to a normal life.
This evening, Spring for Peace 2021 was virtual.
But supporters like you are very real.
So please bid generously.
Because poverty, mental health, and racism
put young people in conflict with the law.
Creating barriers to education.
But you can stop this.
We can stop all this.
And we can invest in our communities
and in the future of our youth.
We can support vulnerable youth in conflict at school
and in the justice system.
You can help us divert youth
from the school to prison pipeline.
You can help our youth succeed.
It's really easy.
Get involved.
Become a monthly donor.
Become a volunteer.
And please.
Bid now. Bid now.
Thank you very much.